You know what we always say on Tales from the Field? We like to keep it going in the comments. Well, 1 month ago, we got a comment from Java at Microsoft. Can't wait for the Java and Semantic Kernel demo. Well, I got good news and bad news. I don't know Java, but I do know Python. And today, we tackle the Semantic Kernel in Microsoft Fabric on Tales from the Field.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
This is your first time finding your way over to Tales from the Field. Give us a like and give us a subscribe. We drop content every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. On Monday, we have our MS Tech Bits. On Tuesday, we have our Azure Data Community Roundtable, where we feature content from the creators in the Azure Data Community for the Azure Data Community. And then on Wednesdays, we have another MS Tech Bits. That's a video where we learn something from being inspired by you, the community, or working with a customer or working with a product group at Microsoft. This is one of those videos right now. Let's not waste any more time. Get over that great content. We're looking at the blog Use Semantic Kernel with Lakehouse and Microsoft Fabric from the Fabric blog by Kinfey Low. This is a great blog and it walks through a lot of things, but I found some additional items that we wanted to look at. Now, in order to execute this and kind of shortcut what we're doing, head over to Kinfey's GitHub. All this is going to be in the description of the video, and we want to click on code, and you want to go over to local, and then we're going to get our download zip. Now, you could do his full tutorial, but for this, what we really need is just this items in the code folder. Specifically, we're going to use docs, and then we're going to get the skills, the read skill KB with the configuration JSON and the ASCII prompt text. Okay, so we've got the blog and we've got the GitHub repo, but there's probably a big question you're asking. Why should I use the semantic kernel? Well, so far, when we've done some of our other videos, what we've done is we've used LangChain. And LangChain is a little more advanced, has been around for a little bit longer, can do different sequences, and is a very good from a programmatic way. But part of the limitation is that it really only works with Python or JavaScript. So it has some limitations from a programming standpoint, but the semantic kernel is different. I told you at the beginning, Java at Microsoft had asked me about it. Well, the reason is it works in Java, it works in C#, it works in Python. So when you're looking at things from an application developer's perspective, one of the things that the semantic kernel gives you is the capability to go across loading languages. But on top of that, we can also use a knowledge base where we can submit information to it saying specifically, here's the format I would like to get my results back in. And it acts as kind of a memory buffer. So that way, where we can have multiple things going on at the same time and call them from a programmatic way. Very, very interesting stuff. You know how we like to do this. I'm not just going to talk about this. Let's get over to the keyboard. Let me show it to you. All right, so we're starting out in Azure Storage Explorer, and I'm going to keep this pretty similar to the blog and gloss over some of these early points. What we need to do is upload the docs and skills folders from what we downloaded from the GitHub repository, so that way we can follow the instructions to be able to get them uploaded to our data lake. I've got a data pipeline, again, straight out of the blog. I went to my Azure Storage account. I'm doing a binary copy straight to my Lakehouse. I run this. This is going to come in pretty smooth. It just takes a couple seconds, about 19 seconds, and this was fully uploaded. Pretty small files, and really we're just looking for the skills and the documents. Then I'm going to go over to my Lakehouse, and I'm going to validate that they're there. I can see there's my docs folder. There's my skills folder. So I've got this up and running. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my notebook for my semantic kernel, and I'm going to begin running this. Now, a couple of things. The pip command is not the typical pip command, and I wanted to show you this. I do pip install semantic kernel, and one of the things that we're going to notice is as this is loading, everything looks fine. But upon installation, if I scroll back up, I can see that we have some errors specifically regarding this installation. Sometimes it's a little bit harder, but it never pulls in the package completely. So you need to do the exclamation point pip3 install semantic kernel to be able to get this. This installs just fine. Once that happens, we can import our libraries, OS, sys, JSON, and also the semantic kernel objects that we're going to use. You're going to need to use an OpenAI model. We covered that in our earlier videos. I've got the model, the endpoint, the API key hidden, and I'm just going to run this. So that way I can connect to my OpenAI playground and my GPT 3.5. At this point, I'm going to instantiate my kernel. I'm going to invoke my OpenAI. So that's the model that I'm going to be using, the GPT 3.5 model. And then I'm pointing over to the base skills directory. Now let's look at this file for a second, because it's important to understand what these skills actually are. The first is our configuration JSON. This is just our model parameters, our max tokens, our completion, our temperature, things of that nature. But this SK prompt TXT, this is specific to our semantic model. It gets really interesting. This is where we kind of say this is the prompt engineering. This is the input output that we would like. We're going to go into this a little bit more in detail in a moment. But take in mind that I have invoked this. I have pointed to those skills and we've loaded those up. We've loaded up the docs, and I've essentially said, hey, this is a Microsoft doc. This is the MD README file that we've got for the Microsoft Docs files on Microsoft Fabric. And this is what I want to parse. This is the big command right here. We're going to say await kernel run async skills. We're pointing to KB. The input string is the learn content that we're passing through. Now, when this runs, and I sped this up a little bit, it takes about 40 seconds to run, and I click on result. Now, this is where I deviated from the blog. What I found was it didn't divide things up into the knowledge base articles the way we wanted to. As a matter of fact, there's a double pound sign right there. All of it came back as one big, messy kind of syntax. This is not what I wanted. This is also not what was reflective in the blog. So I wanted to know, how could we change this up? Well, my friends, this gets into prompt engineering. So what I did was I uploaded another folder. I created one called Brad Skills. And I want you to see the difference, because what we're saying is we're telling the model, here's some commands right up front. And I wanted to do a comparison between this and what I have in Brad Skills. Because what I essentially did, the prompt engineering, is it's asking the question. So you can see the way we're asking the question and then the way I changed it to be able to simplify the language that we're using. And what I found was by changing the language, this allowed me to change the output that we've got. I talked with our good friend Marco, remember from the previous video we had done, and I said, hey, Marco, is 90% of prompt engineering asking the question? And he said, no, Brad, it's 100%. And if you look at this, when I run this, not only do I run this with a question and the text is different, but you'll notice 40 seconds last time, 14 seconds this time. We were quicker. And when I look at this, this is the content formatted the way I wanted to, giving me a summary of these documentation and the key areas. Fantastic stuff. Magic, right? So what did we cover? Well, we covered quite a bit. We showed how we could invoke the semantic kernel within Microsoft Fabric, giving us another option to be able to use large language models to be able to process in a new and fascinating way. We also showed how we could do document processing. I mean, if you think about it, that was the whole demo, right? We consumed data. We asked OpenAI to summarize it for it. We used the semantic kernel for that. So we've got document processing. We've invoked the semantic kernel. We talked about prompt engineering and how important it is to utilize the question that we are asking of the semantic model. And more than anything, we answered a question from the comments. So you know where we want to keep this going, down below. Do you have any questions? Anything you'd like to see? Something you still have questions on? Also, don't forget, we're going to demo this in depth and live in September when we do our Microsoft Fabric update with the Fabric Cat product group. And of course, our good friend Bradley Schadt from the Microsoft Fabric Cat team will be there with us. Hope you can join us. Once again, be good to one another out there, and thank you so much for joining us for Tales from the Field. Bye.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.